From the outside, my life looked fine. Pretty good, even. I was 25, living in a decent townhouse in a mid-size U.S. city, engaged to a man everyone would describe as solid. Not flashy, not dramatic, just dependable. John was 32. He worked as a clerk at a bank downtown and, according to him, 3 nights a week. He also worked as a security guard at a supermarket in another city called Riverside. He'd started the second job for our future. His words. For the wedding, for the honeymoon, for the house later, he'd say. I don't want you to worry about anything, Millie. Sometimes he'd kiss my forehead and add, in a year or two, you'll be choosing tile for our kitchen and laughing that I once wore a polyester security uniform for this. He made sacrifice sound romantic. We'd been together for 2 years and lived together for almost all of that. I'd moved to his city for him, away from my family and old friends. My parents lived hours away. I told myself that was okay. People move for love all the time, right? 6 months before everything fell apart, I lost my job in sales. It wasn't dramatic, no shouting, no scandals. Just a, we're restructuring, a bland apology, and me leaving the building with a box of my stuff and a tight knot in my stomach. I called John from the sidewalk, swallowing tears. Hey, it's okay, he said immediately. This might be a sign. You were never happy there. I've got us for now. We'll tighten the belt a bit, you'll find something better. In the meantime, you can focus on the wedding. It sounded comforting. It also sounded like a script. But I was too rattled to analyze it. The weeks after that were a blur of job applications and silence. Every morning I sent out resumes. Every afternoon I checked my email obsessively. Every evening I told myself tomorrow would be the day someone called. Meanwhile, John was gone more and more. He'd leave for the bank around 8 a.m., come home at 5:30 looking tired, kiss me, and then on security nights he'd shower, change, and head back out again around 6:30. Riverside's like an hour and 20 minutes from here with traffic, he'd remind me. They like me there because I'm willing to take the late shifts. It's good money, temporary pain, big gain. I didn't like how often I sat in that house alone, but he always framed it like love. I'm doing this for us. For you. And because I wasn't working, I let him get away with that. The ring showed up on an ordinary Tuesday. I was cleaning the bedroom because I'd decided that if I couldn't make money, I could at least make everything spotless. It was my way of feeling necessary. Our bedroom was on the 2nd floor. The sun came in big sheets of light that made the dust float. John's nightstand was a mess. Receipts, coins, a pen that didn't work, a crumpled bank brochure. I pulled the drawer out to wipe it and something small rolled forward and fell to the floor with a soft clink. I bent down and picked it up. It was a simple gold band. Not shiny, not new. Softly worn, like it had been on someone's finger for years. The kind of ring that leaves a pale groove in the skin underneath. For a moment, my brain did that stupid, hopeful thing. Did he buy me a better ring? Is this his plan? A surprise proposal 2.0 question mark. Then logic caught up. We already had an engagement ring. Cheap, but ours, the one I wore every day. This ring was clearly older. There was nothing romantic or planned about it rolling out of his nightstand like a forgotten coin. I turned it between my fingers, a weird heaviness settling in my chest. I had never seen John wear a ring, not once, not even a class ring, not a random accessory, nothing. He always joked he wasn't a jewelry guy. So, whose was this? When he came home that evening, he was in his usual end-of-day state, tie loosened, shirt slightly wrinkled, eyes tired. We ate dinner, leftover pasta, on the couch. The ring was in my pocket, burning a hole in the fabric. Halfway through the episode of some show we weren't really watching, I said, trying to sound casual, "Hey, I found something while I was cleaning today." He glanced over, distracted. "Yeah? Please tell me it was the remote I keep losing." I didn't smile. I pulled the ring out and held it between my thumb and forefinger. The change in his face was small, but it was there. A flicker. Recognition. Then something like a flinch, then smoothness again. He leaned in, squinting. "What's that?" You tell me, I said. It was in your nightstand drawer. He took it from me, rolling it between his fingers. Oh, he said too quickly. Yeah, that's probably Mark's. Who's Mark? I asked. A friend from work, he said. He came over once, remember? Tall guy, dark hair. No, I didn't remember. I'd never met any of his friends from work. When I pointed that out, he always said something about them not being social or everyone just wanting to go home to their families. When was he here? I asked. A while ago, he said. He and his wife stopped by on the way through town. His ring must have slipped off when he was crashing on the couch. I frowned. He crashed on the couch? When? I don't remember anyone staying here overnight. You were at that girls' weekend with your old co-workers, remember? John said smoothly. I told you he might stop by. His car had issues. He didn't want to drive back late with their kid. I searched my memory. I'd gone away for a weekend, sure, but I didn't remember any mention of Mark, or guests, or anything. And this ring has just been in your nightstand for how long? I asked. He shrugged. I probably shoved it in there, meaning to give it back and forgot. I'll text him about it. I looked at the ring again. Why would he take it off? He takes it off to sleep, John said, like that was common knowledge. Or maybe Amy was playing with it. Who's Amy? I asked. His daughter, he said. 2 years old. She grabs anything shiny. I pictured the layout of our house, the front door, the living room, the stairs. When exactly was this? I asked slowly. Because the only time you and I had people over since I've been unemployed was your co-worker's barbecue. And there wasn't a Mark with a wife and a 2-year-old. It was before that, he said, impatience creeping in. Why are we interrogating my memory about this? It's a lost ring, Millie, not a crime scene. I've never seen it before, I said. And it's in your drawer, and you never wear rings. I just wanted to know what it is. He sighed, rubbed his face. Jesus. Okay, I'll call Mark tomorrow. I'll ask if he lost his ring. If it's not his, then I don't know. Maybe it came with the nightstand. When we moved in, the place was empty, I reminded him. The landlord said everything was cleared out. That's what he said, John replied, voice sharpening. Landlords exaggerate. Look, you're home all day now, and I get that your brain needs something to chew on, but obsessing over random objects isn't healthy. The words stung. I'm not obsessing, I said. I asked one question. About a ring that clearly belonged to someone who isn't here anymore. He shot back. Maybe one of my friends, maybe the previous tenant, maybe God. I don't know. But instead of saying, huh, weird, you're staring at me like I've cheated on you. I didn't say that, I said quietly. You didn't have to, he muttered. It's all over your face. Silence hung between us. The TV laughed at something we weren't paying attention to. He exhaled, then forced his tone softer. Look, I know you're anxious, he said. You've been cooped up, applying for jobs, getting rejection emails. Your brain is going 100 miles an hour with nowhere to go. But you have to trust me. I'm not lying to you about a random ring. I swallowed the lump in my throat. I just hate feeling like I don't know anything about your world, I admitted. I've never met your family. I don't know your friends. It's just us and your work. He stiffened. We've talked about this, he said. My family is complicated. They're far, they're conservative. They weren't thrilled I moved here with you. I want to introduce you when things are calmer, when we're married. Not in the middle of everything. I'd heard versions of that before. Wait, not yet. Soon. Okay, I murmured. You're right. Maybe I'm overthinking. Something like relief flickered across his face. Thank you, he said. I'll check with Mark. I'll get the ring back to whoever it belongs to. Can we drop it now? I nodded, but the unease didn't go anywhere. Later that night, when he slept, I stood in the doorway and watched him. His left hand lay open on the sheet. There was no pale circle where a ring had been. The skin was all the same color. Still, I took the band and put it in a small dish on the dresser because I couldn't stand the idea of it rattling around out of sight. It sat there, small and innocent and heavy, catching the light every time I walked by. Days blurred together. Job applications, interviews that went nowhere, rejection emails that all sounded the same. One Tuesday afternoon, my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. I almost let it go to voicemail. I was tired of hearing polite versions of, "Thanks, but no thanks." "Hello?" I answered. "Hi, is this Millie Carter?" a bright female voice said. "This is Julia from Horizon Solutions. You interviewed with us 2 weeks ago for the sales position in our Riverside office." I sat up straight. "Yes, hi, I remember." "We'd like to offer you the position," she said. "Full-time, base plus commission, benefits after 30 days. We were really impressed with your experience." Riverside, the same city John drove to 3 nights a week to work security. "We know the commute is a bit long," Julia continued, "but some of our employees do partial remote after the trial period. We're flexible. We just need you in person for the first few months." My heart was beating fast. "That sounds great," I said. "Can I have a day to think it over?" "Of course," she said. "I'll email you the details." When John came home that evening, I could barely sit still. "I got a job offer," I blurted before he'd even taken his shoes off. "From that company in Riverside, Horizon Solutions, base plus commission, benefits, everything. They want me." For the first second, he smiled. "That's in Riverside," I repeated, already bracing myself. His smile flattened. "Oh," he said. "There." "Yes, there," I said. "I know it's a commute, but I used to drive an hour plus to Oak Ridge every day. This isn't that different." He put his bag down slowly. "Millie, Riverside is an hour and 20 minutes away. That's a lot, especially for sales. You'll be exhausted. And you've been struggling with anxiety." "You told me I'm anxious because I stay home all day," I reminded him. "You literally said my brain needs something to chew on. This is something. This is a job." "I said you should find something," he countered. "Not something that drains you before you even start your day." "I've done long commutes before," I argued. "You didn't mind then." "Because back then you had more support," he said. "Now it's just us. What if your car breaks down? What if there's a snowstorm? It's not safe, Millie." "All of a sudden it's not safe," I said. "But you drive there 3 nights a week and sleep in some staff room and that's fine?" "That's different," he snapped. "I go at off hours, less traffic, and I'm doing it for us. I don't want you to kill yourself for some company that doesn't care about you." "The company offered me a job," I said quietly. "You didn't even ask about the salary." His jaw worked. "We can find something closer," he insisted. "Tell them thank you, but no, keep looking. There are other options." The contradiction pressed on my chest like weight. "You're working 2 jobs because I don't have one," I said. "I finally get an offer, and your immediate reaction is to tell me to refuse it. How does that make sense?" "It makes sense because I care about you," he said. "And because Riverside is—" He stopped himself, shook his head. "Just trust me on this, Millie. It's not the right move. Trust." The ring glinted in my memory. I didn't argue anymore. I nodded slowly, said I'd think about it, and watched him walk into the bathroom, shoulders tense. That night, lying awake in the dark, staring at the ceiling, I realized something. If I kept trusting words that didn't match actions, I was going to lose myself completely. So the next security night, I didn't go to a fake therapy appointment like I told him I was. I went to the bank. My heart was hammering so hard when I parked at the back of the bank's lot that I thought it might shake the car. At 5:30, people started streaming out. Around 5:45, John walked out in his suit, tie loosened, messenger bag on his shoulder. He looked like every other tired office worker getting into their car and driving home. Except he didn't drive home. He got onto the highway heading toward Riverside. I waited 2 cars behind, changing lanes when he did, making sure I never got too close. I'd never tailed anyone in my life. Every time he glanced in his rearview mirror, I held my breath. The drive felt both too long and not long enough. Streetlights came on. The sky turned from orange to purple to black. We passed exits I didn't recognize until finally he took one for Riverside. He didn't turn into a supermarket. He didn't head toward an industrial park or a shopping center. He wound through quiet residential streets lined with trees and small houses. Then he pulled into the driveway of a pale blue house with white trim and flower boxes on the windows. There was a wreath on the door. Warm light glowed in the windows. A kid's chalk drawing colored the front walk. Stick figures, a sun, a house. I parked half a block down, hands shaking. He got out of the car, straightened his shirt, picked up his bag, and walked up to the door. No hesitation, no furtive glances, just a man coming home. The door opened before he even knocked. A woman's silhouette appeared, and he stepped inside. The door closed. My phone buzzed. John. I forced my voice steady. Hey. Hey, baby. His voice was soft, a little tired. Heading to the second job now. It might be a long night. Don't wait up, okay? I'll probably crash at a coworker's and come home tomorrow evening. I stared at the house he was already in. Okay, I said. Be safe. Always, he said. Love you. Love you too? I lied and ended the call. I stayed. Minutes dragged into hours. The house never went dark. Once, around 8, I saw two shadows in what looked like a kitchen window. Two people standing close together. I imagined them cooking, talking, moving around each other the way couples do when they've had years to learn the lines of each other's bodies. The heater in my car barely worked. I wrapped a blanket around myself, legs going numb, phone battery slowly ticking down. Every time headlights appeared, my heart jerked, but no one came or went from the blue house. Around midnight, exhaustion dragged my eyes closed. I slept in jerky snatches, jerking awake at every sound. At 7:20 the next morning, I heard a door open. John stepped out, wearing jeans and a t-shirt, his hair damp like he'd just showered. He looked more rested than I'd seen him in weeks. A second later, a small figure zoomed into him from behind. A little girl, maybe 7 years old, in a backpack almost too big for her, threw herself at his waist. He laughed, bent down, kissed the top of her head. She turned, and I saw her face. She had his eyes. I didn't mean that in some dramatic way. She literally had his eyes. Same shape, same color, same way they crinkled when she smiled. My heart lurched. They walked down the porch steps together and waited near the sidewalk. "Bus!" the girl shouted. "Daddy, look!" Her voice carried across the quiet street, sharp and bright in the morning air. A yellow school bus rumbled up to the corner. The front door of the house opened wider. A woman stepped out. She had dark hair pulled up in a messy bun, leggings and an oversized sweater, that soft, rushed morning look of someone who'd gotten a kid ready for school. She was beautiful in a way that stuck with you, tired, yes, but glowing with something I didn't have a word for. She joined them on the porch. John's hand moved automatically to her waist. She leaned into him. The girl turned back, waving wildly. "Bye, Mommy." "Bye, Lily," the woman called, smiling. "Be good." Lily. So the little girl had a name. The bus doors opened. Lily climbed aboard, found a seat, waved one more time through the window. John and the woman stood together, arms around each other, watching the bus drive away. He pressed a kiss to her temple. It was a perfect family picture. In that moment, whatever rationalization my brain had been trying to craft, some weird cousin, some temporary house-sitting situation, some co-worker he was helping, evaporated. There was only one explanation left. My fiancé had a wife and a daughter. My hand shook as I opened the car door. I didn't remember locking the car. I didn't remember walking up the sidewalk. Just the cold air in my lungs, my heartbeat in my ears, the feel of the porch steps under my feet. I knocked. The woman opened the door a crack at first, then wider. Up close, she looked about 28. There were faint shadows under her eyes, but her gaze was sharp. She took me in quickly. Stranger, early morning. Maybe 30 seconds before deciding whether to be polite or protective. "Hi," I said, my voice weirdly calm. "I'm John's bride, Millie. I'd like to talk to him." Her face went still. John's... what? Behind her, I heard his voice. Sonia, who is it? He appeared over her shoulder. When he saw me, color drained from his face. Millie, he said. What are you doing here? You told me you were at your second job, I said. There was a beat of silence. John stepped quickly forward, almost blocking her view of me. Millie, you shouldn't be here, he said in a low, urgent voice. Go home. We'll talk later. She says she's your bride, Sonia said slowly. Is this some kind of joke? He shot her a tense smile. She's exaggerating. We dated. It's complicated. She's not well right now. She followed me. I'm your fiancé, I cut in, heat flooding my face. We live together. We've been planning our wedding for next spring. Sonia's eyes ran instinctively to my left hand. The engagement ring glinted there, the cheap silver band suddenly heavy. She looked back at John, her expression shifting from confusion to something harder. Tell me that's not true, she said. He swallowed. Sonia, can we please not do this on the porch? Lily's bus just... Sonia opened the door wider, eyes not leaving his face. Come in, she said to me. Her voice was like ice. If there's a misunderstanding, we'll clear it up. If there isn't... She gave a humorless little laugh. I'd rather hear it now than later. I stepped inside. He grabbed my arm. Millie, please, he hissed. Don't do this. You don't understand. You'll make everything worse. I pulled my arm free. Worse than finding out about your secret family in a different city? I asked. His jaw tightened. For the first time, there was real anger in his eyes. You had no right to follow me, he said. This is my home, my family. You're crossing a line. I had every right, I said. You made me feel crazy for asking why you have a wedding ring in your drawer. You lied about where you spend your nights. If anyone crossed a line, it was you. Both of you shut up, Sonia snapped suddenly. We both turned to look at her. She stood there, arms crossed, shoulders squared. No one is leaving, she said, looking pointedly at John when he opened his mouth. Not until you explain everything, to both of us. Sonia, he started, adopting that soothing tone I suddenly hated. You don't need to hear all the messy details. There was a mistake. I got confused, but you and Lily... I said sit. She interrupted. There was a table in the kitchen. She gestured to it like a judge calling a witness to the stand. I sat, not because he asked, but because she did. He hesitated, then sat too opposite us. The kitchen was warm. There were drawings on the fridge, a cereal bowl in the sink, a family calendar on the wall with Lily first day of school written in purple marker. It made me feel like I'd wandered into someone else's life. I guess I had. Sonia took the head of the table, eyes cold. All right, she said. Let's start simple. How long have you been with her? She nodded at me. He rubbed his forehead. 2 years, he said quietly. I inhaled sharply. Somehow, hearing him say it out loud hurt more. Sonia smiled, but there was nothing kind in it. 2 years, she repeated. We've been together... What, John? 9, he said, voice barely above a whisper. Married for 7, she added. Lily is 7. She just started school. She turned to me. I'm Sonia, by the way, his wife. The word hit me like a physical blow. I didn't know about you, I said quickly. He said his family was complicated, far away, conservative, that it wasn't the right time to meet them yet. Sonia gave me a look that wasn't quite empathy, but wasn't hostility either. Yeah, she said. I've heard that one too. His family doesn't know the half of what he does. I stared at him. Why didn't you tell me you were married? I asked. My voice trembled now, the calm cracking. Why let me move in with you? Why plan a wedding with me? I met you when Sonia and I were separated, he said, words tumbling out in a rush. 2 years ago. We were in a bad place. We'd fought for months. I moved out. She told me she was done. Where did you live? Sonia asked sharply. Because you didn't live here for 5 months. That's true. In a small apartment near the bank, he said. That's when I met Millie, at a client's office. It was easy with her. No fights, no history. I didn't expect it to go anywhere serious. You asked me to move in, I reminded him. You found the townhouse. You said it meant you were serious. I was trying to figure things out, he snapped. I didn't know if my marriage was over. I didn't know if you and I would work. I was confused. That's not confusion, Sonia said. That's cowardice. He flinched. Then what? She demanded. Because you're not just dating her on the side. You're living with her, right? In another city? He nodded slowly. In Greenfield, I said numbly. We rent a townhouse together. I thought it was just ours. Sonia's eyes flicked to me and softened just a fraction. I've never been to Greenfield, she said. I've always lived here. This house was my parents'. When they died, they left it to me. John moved in after we got married. Whenever he said he was staying near work or taking an overnight shift in Riverside, I assumed that he was working, I finished for her. She nodded, lips pressed together. What about the ring? I asked him. The gold band I found in your nightstand. He couldn't hide the flicker in his eyes that time. It's mine, he said quietly. My wedding ring. I felt sick. You told me it was your friend's, I said. You said his daughter Amy might have been playing with it. That was a lie, he admitted. I take it off before I go to Greenfield. I keep it here. Sometimes I forget and it ends up in my pocket and then in the drawer. You didn't forget, Sonia said flatly. You took it off because you didn't want her to know you were married. You put it back on because you didn't want me to know you had a fiancé. He squeezed his eyes shut. I know how it sounds, he said. It sounds like the truth, Sonia replied. And that's the part that hurts. He leaned forward, looking at her. Sonia, I'm sorry. I know I messed up. I honestly thought we were over back then. When Millie came into my life, it felt like starting over. But then you called about Lily. Don't use our daughter as an excuse, she snapped. You don't get to blame this on her. He tried again. I missed her. I missed you. We started talking again, remember? Counseling, dinner, sleepovers. It felt like we were fixing things. I was going to tell Millie it was over, but every time I tried, I couldn't do it. I didn't want to hurt her, or you. So I told myself I could handle both until I figured it out. You didn't want to hurt us, I repeated. So you hurt us constantly, just slowly enough that we wouldn't notice. He turned to me, eyes pleading now. Millie, you know I care about you, he said. Our life together. It was real. I wasn't faking everything. If it was real, I said, voice shaking. Why did you tell Sonia I'm crazy and should leave? Why did you look at me at the door like I was the problem that had just shown up on your porch? Anger flashed in his expression again. Because you following me here like some stalker is insane, he burst out. This is my home. My child lives here. You ambushed me in front of them. What did you think would happen? I thought I would finally see the truth, I said. So, mission accomplished. His gaze snapped back to Sonia. Look, I know I handled this badly, but I'm here now, he said. I came back. I always come back. You and Lily, you've always been my real family. He gestured helplessly between me and the table. This got out of hand. I made a mistake, but we can fix it. Please, don't throw away 9 years because of 2 bad ones. Sonia stared at him for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was quiet but sharp as glass. You are very good at making disasters sound like accidents, she said. As if you tripped and fell into a second life. She looked at me. Did he ever talk about a daughter? She asked. I shook my head. My throat burned. He told me he wanted kids someday, I said. With me. We even joked about baby names once. He said he'd be the fun parent and I'd be the strict one. Something in Sonia's face broke. She blinked quickly, then laughed bitterly. He told me the same thing, she said. Except in that version, I was the fun parent and he was the strict one. He opened his mouth. She held up a hand to stop him. "Enough," she said. "You don't get to work the room anymore, John. You don't get to choose which of us hears the truth. We both heard it. Now you're going to live with what you did." "I'm trying to fix it," he insisted. "If Millie leaves—" I pushed my chair back, the legs scraping against the floor. "Maybe I should go," I said softly. "This is your house, your kid, your marriage. I don't belong here." "Sit down," Sonia said sharply. I looked at her, surprised. "You don't walk away from this like some mistake he can sweep back under the rug," she said. "You didn't do this. You got lied to same as I did. You deserve to hear the end of this story just as much as I do." Our eyes held for a second. Whatever we weren't enemies. We were collateral damage. I sat back down. Sonia turned to John. "You said you want to fix your family," she said. "Here's the thing. This is your family, all of it. The wife who thought you were working nights for their daughter's future, the fiancé who thought you were breaking your back for a wedding, the little girl who will one day find out what you did whether you like it or not." He swallowed hard. "You're not going to fix this by choosing the best part and pretending the rest doesn't exist," she continued. "You can't just kick Millie out of your life and come home like you went on some extended guys trip. That's not how this works." His shoulders slumped. For the first time, he looked like he really understood there was no version of this where he came out clean. "What do you want me to do?" he asked quietly. She stared at him for a long moment. "Leave," she said. "Take a bag and get out of my house." He flinched. "Sonia, I'm not saying we'll never talk again," she said. "We'll have to. We share a child. There will be lawyers and custody arrangements and 1,000 other things, but you don't get to sleep under this roof like nothing happened." He looked at me, as if I might jump in and defend him. I stared back, feeling hollow. He pushed back from the table slowly. "Millie," he said, voice low, "you should just go back to Greenfield. I'll send money for the rent until you figure something out. I'll make sure you're not left with nothing." I almost laughed. "You think this is about money?" I asked. "You could give me $1 million and it wouldn't make this less disgusting." He swallowed. "I never wanted to hurt you," he said. "Congratulations," I said. "You failed." He disappeared down the hallway. We heard drawers opening, a suitcase zipping. Sonia and I sat in silence. "I'm sorry," I whispered after a bit. "If I didn't follow him, I would have kept living a lie," she finished for me, thinking my husband was exhausted because he was working 2 jobs for our kid when really, he was splitting his time between 2 beds. "Don't apologize for tearing the curtain." Her eyes were shiny now. "I'm sorry you had to find out like this," she added. We were both sorry about the same man for different reasons. John came back with a duffel bag. He stood in the doorway, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. "I'm so sorry," he said, "to both of you." We didn't answer. He walked to the front door, paused. "If you ever need anything, we'll manage," Sonia said. He nodded and left. The door closed behind him with a final, heavy click. I drove back to Greenfield in a fog. Our townhouse felt like a stage after the actors have left, props scattered around, lights off, echoes of lines that no longer made sense. Our photos grinned from the walls. His jacket hung over the chair. The bed was unmade from the previous morning. I went into the bedroom and picked up the dish on the dresser. The gold band was there, his ring. My engagement ring sat on my finger, suddenly itchy. I took it off. I put both rings on his pillow. 2 tiny circles representing 2 separate lives he'd tried to wear at the same time. Then I opened the closet and started taking his clothes off the hangers. I didn't scream. I didn't set anything on fire. I just moved mechanically, stuffing his shirts, his shoes, his ties into a big black trash bag, not to throw away, just to get them out of my space. I texted him one message. "Your stuff is in the living room. I'll be out from 3-5 today. Pick it up then. After that, I'll leave the keys with the superintendent," he replied. "Thank you." "I'm sorry, Millie." I turned my phone face down and didn't answer. The next few weeks were slow and heavy. I told my parents I'd broken off the engagement and needed time. I didn't tell them why. I couldn't bear the mixture of pity and "we never liked him anyway" I knew I'd get. I ignored Julia's call from Horizon twice before finally texting her back that I needed to postpone the job for personal reasons. She responded kindly, said to reach out when I was ready. I didn't feel ready for anything. The only person I answered consistently was Sonia. She texted me 3 days after that morning. Sonia, I hope you got home okay. Sonia, I keep thinking about you. This must be hell. Sonia, if you ever want to talk to someone who knows exactly what two families feels like, I'm here. I stared at the text for a long time before replying. Millie, I feel like someone pressed delete on my entire life. Millie, but thank you. One afternoon she called instead of texting. I hope it's okay, she said. Hearing your voice makes it feel less like I'm screaming into the void. It's okay, I said. My voice sounded strange to my own ears, like it belonged to someone older. How are you? She asked. It was a simple question. No one had asked it without expecting me to say fine or getting there. I don't know, I admitted. Some days I'm okay until I remember I have to change my emergency contact form at my doctor's office. Some days I'm mad I wasted 2 years. Mostly I just feel embarrassed. Embarrassed, she repeated. Why? Because I missed so many signs, I said. The ring. The second job he didn't want me near. The way he avoided introducing me to anyone in his life. I swallowed all of it because it was easier than questioning him. She was quiet for a moment. Me too, she said. I ignored the lies because the alternative was admitting my marriage was rotting from the inside. That's not stupidity, Millie. That's survival. I wiped my eyes. Rent is due next week, I said. My savings are almost gone. I still don't have a job. I'm thinking about moving back to my parents' town, but I left there for a reason. She exhaled. I have a spare room, she said. This house is paid off. Utilities are manageable. If you need a place for a while, you can stay here. I blinked. In your house? I said. The house where everything happened? This is my house, she said firmly. My parents' house, not his, not anymore. I won't let him ruin it for me. Or for Lily. I don't want to be your charity case, I said weakly. This isn't charity, she replied. This is 2 women he hurt deciding to help each other instead of tearing each other apart. Besides, Lily already likes you. She keeps asking when the other lady is coming back. The idea of living in that pale blue house again made my stomach twist. It was where the lie had burst. It was also the first place where someone insisted I deserved the truth. Can I think about it? I asked. Of course, she said. Offer stands. About a month after I'd watched him on that porch, John showed up at my door. I almost didn't answer, but the knock came again, soft, insistent. When I opened, he stood there with his hands in his pockets, looking smaller, more tired. Hey, he said. What do you want? I asked. I didn't invite him in. I wanted to apologize, he said. Properly. Not with you in shock and Sonia ready to kill me. I'm not interested in any more of your speeches, I said. But go ahead. You came all this way. He winced. I know sorry doesn't fix it, he said. I just need you to know. I never meant to hurt you. I was in a bad place. I felt trapped. I didn't know how to end things with anyone. When Sonia told me to leave that day, I panicked. I said whatever I could think of to keep her from throwing me out of my daughter's life. Telling you to go away. That was me trying to save my family. I stared at him. So I was never part of your family, I said. Good to know. That's not what You told her I was unstable, I said. That I was a mistake. You wanted me to disappear so you could pretend the last 2 years were a phase. He swallowed. I was afraid, he said. I still am. I see Lily on a schedule now. I sleep on a friend's couch. I might lose the house, joint accounts, everything. I keep thinking if I'd just broken up with you sooner, none of this would have... Don't you dare put that on me, I snapped. You could have not cheated on your wife. You could have not proposed to me. You could have not lied every single day of your life. You made those choices, not me, not Sonia. He deflated. I know, he murmured. Therapy is forcing me to look at that. Good, I said. Maybe the next woman you date won't have to learn about your child from a school bus. He flinched. I'm not asking you to forgive me, he said quietly. I know that might never happen. I just wanted you to know that what we had wasn't fake. I did care about you. I looked at his face, the face I once pictured at the end of an aisle waiting for me. I don't care if it was real for you, I said. It was real for me. That's the part that hurts. But your feelings don't erase your choices. I'm not going to spend another year of my life trying to understand why you did what you did when you clearly didn't think about it that much yourself. He nodded slowly, eyes wet. Are you going back to your parents? He asked. No, I said. I'm moving. Where? He asked. That's none of your business anymore, I said, and closed the door. I leaned my forehead against it and let myself cry. For the girl I'd been 2 years ago, for the life I'd built around a man who saw me as a convenient second option, for the version of myself that thought love meant accepting whatever storyline someone handed you. Then I wiped my face and picked up my phone. Millie. Is the spare room still available? Millie. I don't want to go backwards. She replied almost immediately. Sonia. Yes, always. Sonia. Come this weekend. We'll figure it out together. Moving into Sonia's house felt like stepping into a story I'd entered halfway through. But this time, I came in through the front door with my head up, not hiding in a parked car in the dark. Lily barreled into me as soon as I walked in, waving a drawing. This is us, she said. 3 stick figures, one with long dark hair, Sonia, one with shorter hair, me, and one little one with a huge smile, her. Above them, in shaky letters, my family. My throat tightened. Thank you, I said. I love it. Sonia had cleared out the spare room. The walls were a soft blue. The bed was simple but comfortable. You don't have to pay rent until you're working, she said. We'll split utilities when you can. Help with meals and Lily, and we'll call it even for now. Okay, I said. But I'm cooking at least 3 nights a week. She smiled. Deal. The first night, I lay in that blue room and listened to the sounds of the house, the pipes, the fridge, the murmur of the TV downstairs. It felt strange and comforting at the same time. This was the same house where my world had shattered, and somehow, it was also the place where I felt the safest I had in months. A week later, Horizon called again. Julia's voice was just as warm. We still have an opening, she said. Are you in a place now where you could consider it? I am, I said. This time I accepted. Riverside's going to be your city now, Sonia joked when I told her. Not his. Exactly, I said. He doesn't own it. One Saturday morning, when I was helping Lily with a puzzle at the kitchen table, there was a knock at the door. Sonia glanced at the clock. That'll be him, she sighed. He's early. She opened the door. John stood there with a small backpack, looking awkward. Hey, he said. Can I come in? For Lily, she replied. Not for you, she's in the kitchen. He stepped into the living room, then froze when he saw me through the doorway. I stayed where I was, a puzzle piece in my hand, Lily leaning against my arm. Millie, he said, voice barely above a whisper. You're here. Yes, I said. My heart beat faster, but it wasn't the dizzy, can't-breathe panic from before. It was steadier, grounded. Sonia came to stand beside me, hand resting lightly on the back of my chair. Millie lives here now, she said. We help each other. That's what people do when someone tears their life apart and runs. His eyes moved between us, something like regret, or maybe just shock, flickering there. I see, he said quietly. Lily finally looked up and squealed, Daddy! She ran to him. He scooped her up, holding her like she was the only stable thing in his orbit. Maybe she was. He kissed her cheek, set her down, took her backpack. "We'll be back by 6, he said to Sonia. "We're going to the park and then my parents." Sonia nodded. "Text if you're running late," she said. "And don't feed her only sugar, please." He managed a weak smile. "I'll try." He looked at me one more time. "I'm glad you're okay," he said. "Both of you." We didn't answer. We didn't owe him that. He opened the door. Lily turned and waved excitedly. "Bye, Mommy. Bye, Millie." "Bye, sweetheart," Sonia said. "Have fun." "Bye, Lil," I added, smiling for real this time. They stepped out onto the porch. For a moment, I saw us from outside. 2 women in a kitchen full of sunlight and coffee smell, not as rivals, not as halves of some broken equation, but as people who chose each other after someone else chose lies. Sonia let out a breath when the door closed. "Well," she said, "that was something." I laughed, surprising myself. "Understatement of the year." She smiled. "Do you ever think about how we could have hated each other?" she asked. He probably imagined that. 2 women fighting over him, begging him to choose. "His worst nightmare is us realizing we don't need him," I said. "And then moving in together." We both laughed then. Really laughed. The sound bounced off the walls like we were reclaiming the house one joke at a time. I still have days where the hurt sneaks up on me. Sometimes it's triggered by something dumb, like seeing a couple in a grocery store arguing about cereal, and remembering how John and I used to bicker about which pasta brand was a scam. Sometimes it's bigger, like when Lily draws her family with just her and her mom, and I wonder what kind of version of this story she'll hear when she's older. Healing isn't a straight line. Some nights I lie awake in that blue room, thinking about how close I came to marrying a man I didn't really know. But more and more often I fall asleep thinking about the life I'm building now. About the sales job in Riverside where my coworkers know my name, not just as some guy's fiancé. About Lily knocking on my door to show me a new drawing. About Sonia and me sitting on the porch in the evenings, talking not about John, but about promotions, dreams, books, stupid shows we both like. The ring that started all of this is gone now. I don't know where. Pawned, maybe. Sitting in a drawer somewhere in a place I'll never see. For a long time I thought I wanted it back, just to hold it and remind myself that my instincts weren't wrong, that I was right to be suspicious. I don't need it anymore. I was right. I followed the feeling that something was wrong all the way to a pale blue house and watched my life crack open. I lost the future I thought I wanted that day. But I gained something else, the certainty that I would rather live in a messy, painful truth than a beautiful lie. And, unexpectedly, I gained a friend. We were 2 women on opposite sides of the same secret. Now we're on the same side of the table, passing each other the sugar, laughing over coffee, making sure the story doesn't end with him.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and explore our channel for more love, betrayal, and redemption tales.